Welcome to Ball and Chain Podcast. This is episode 218. I'm Mox Born again. I have with me, it's my angel.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I am fantastical. Never better. Never better. Kids asleep. Knock on wood.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
See how long that lasts. We've got lots of board games to talk about. This is a board game heavy episode. We don't have any drinks though, unfortunately. I'm kind of sad about that. I really could go for some cider of some sort.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
So we've got some apple juice upstairs. You may be able to ferment it somehow. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but
I don't know. That's that might take a little while, won't it? Doesn't that usually take some time?
Probably.
All right. I forgot to push record on the audio. So if you're just tuning into the audio version of this, you missed the first portion of the podcast. But we are
first 2 minutes.
First 2 minutes of blabbering. Right. So we've got a what'd I say?
Board game.
I'm sorry. Lack of sleep lately has really been killing me. Oh my God. And we'll talk about why we've been up late the past three, well, not including tonight, but the past 3 nights. Jesus, can't speak. So Ball and Chain Podcast is a podcast about video games, movies, music, not really music anymore. Board games, comics.
Just stuff that we do that entertains us. Yeah,
stuff that we find entertaining and, like to have fun and all that stuff. We like to talk about that stuff. TV shows, which most of our TV shows are out of season right now.
This Is Us is in season right now.
Yeah.
And I did not watch last night's episode, but the next episode is the one where you find out exactly what happens to Jack, and it airs directly after the Super Bowl.
No. Man, after the Super Bowl?
Right. So really freaking late.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, that's a thing. So
that is a thing.
That's a thing. So make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Get subscribed for, we do a whole bunch of different videos. This is one of our first board game videos. I did a review of Dead of Winter last Friday, and I think that should continue every Friday for a little while at least. We do a whole bunch of video game stuff and Magic on Mondays and things like that. So make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, get subscribed, make sure you like our video.
Yeah.
Like our videos. Leave a comment with
our 218 videos.
Yeah, if you played any of these board games or whatever, leave a comment with what you think about them, what your favorite part is about them, or what your favorite board game is. And we'll kind of go from there. Anyway, so let's. What do you want to talk about our Harry Potter experience first, or where do you want to start?
We certainly can.
Or we can go. We can talk about what we did last weekend, where we went. You want to do that?
We went. There you go. Last weekend, yeah, we did.
Let's go and start there. Let's start.
Okay.
Let's start last weekend. Let's start with last weekend. So
good chronologically.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, as far as I can remember,
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember what I had for lunch today. But anyway, there's a couple of these cafe. They're not really all cafes. They're establishments, board game establishments that are popping up in the area. The first one was D20, which is a bar. It's a D20, a bar for characters. And it's a full bar. They've got 13, 14 different taps.
Yeah, I mean quite a bit of selection as far as their drinks go.
It's kind of like a lounge area. It's wide open. They've got some square table, high top square tables,
some couch,
areas. Living room type of things, and then they have these giant walls of just board games.
Yeah.
And we went there a long, long time ago. But there's another one.
Birthday.
Oh yeah, it was for your birthday. Yeah, back in August. So it wasn't that long ago. But there was another one that has recently opened over by the hobby shop by the Dayton Mall, if you're in the Dayton area. Highly recommend it. It's called Cardboard Crowns?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's called Cardboard Crowns.
That's a little more family friendly.
Yes, very much family friendly.
They've got a lot of kids selection games. One thing I really enjoyed was they have a color coding system to other games, so they have dots on them. So when you go, I think the green dot means it's pretty simple. Anyone, even if you're not
It's a beginner.
a major board game player, can kind of pick it up and
Right,
learn
these
it.
are like your Monopolies, your like
Game
the
of Life,
Game
which
of
we
Life,
played.
yeah.
There's a couple like kid games.
Yeah, like the
little Chewbacca.
Yeah, the
one that we
Chewbacca
played.
one that Eli picked out, which was really cool.
That was cute.
Where I mean, we really wouldn't consider it a board game per se. It's more of like it's almost like a game.
Hungry Hippo.
Yeah,
type thing.
Hungry Hippo thing, where you've got 3 players and you're basically you've got an arm that bounces Chewbacca that's in the Millennium Falcon, just going around trying to knock down your other people's
things.
stormtroopers. So I don't know. He had a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah, it was cute, fun, easy.
But they have games like that are very easy and kid friendly and things like that. And like going back to the sticker system, which I think is amazing, tells you how difficult they are. They also have a special sticker on
For
there
2 players.
for multiplayer games and things like that. And then there's also a special sticker for if one of their employees are experienced in the game, they could teach you how to play it.
Right. I know the one initially that you had picked out was one that you had been wanting to play. I think maybe it was blue or something. It says this is a lengthy game.
Right.
We cannot teach you this in one setting.
Right.
Like,
It's called Mice and Mystics by Plaid Hat Games. It looks like a lot of fun. It's kind of like a D&D light type of game where you play as these mice that were in prison. Or no, you play as these humans that were in prison for, I don't remember.
It's a story. It's basically it's a story within the story. So like the story is a little boy mouse being read to by his grandfather mouse. Kind of reminds me of or his dad mouse or something. Kind of Princess Bride-esque.
Mm-hmm.
And then you play into the story, and you play through it starts. You read the prologue, and then you read the whole setup for chapter 1, and then you start out playing.
Yeah, and I've been wanting to play it for a while. We got it set up. We got the gist of like where everything goes. We got the main prologue read, and then we started moving, and Eli just wasn't quite there yet. Like
It's a lot to sit through.
yeah, like
for us to figure out.
especially if the adults didn't have didn't figure out the gameplay and all that stuff. So trying to read through all that, and he just wasn't having it. So we're like, okay, let's put this away, and Eli, you go pick something out. So he picked the Chewbacca game out. So
Yeah.
I was a little frustrated that we didn't get to play it, but I understand that we probably should have understood how to play it before we went there.
and tried to get him into it. Yeah.
Right.
Um,
But when we go back with just adults,
the nice thing I really liked about this location is they have they've got just some tables lined up with 4 chairs or whatever. Then they have along the one side of the wall they've got booths with curtains that you can close, kind of and they're nice kind of little private booths.
I didn't realize those were like closable. Like when I first saw, I just thought they were for decoration. Like, oh, that's kind of neat. And then the people that were there with us, they had closed them.
They were playing in Practical Jokers.
Right. So.
But it definitely does help keep the noise level down and does give you that that personal feeling.
A little bit of privacy, and
Right.
you could see. I mean, they were see through, so you could see that there were
Cheers.
people in there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of neat.
They had a decent selection of drinks.
Mhm.
I think they only really had 4 taps, but and I didn't notice it right off the bat, but when you look behind the counter up top, they had like rows of all different kinds of
Mixed drinks, alcohol.
no, canned
Oh.
canned beers like Rheingeist
Oh,
and
okay.
Warped Wing and other canned beers and things like that, and mixed drinks as well, coffee, a lot of like snacky type stuff, like if you were to be at home and hanging out,
Mhm.
something you might, so like bowls of popcorn,
Pretzels.
soft pretzels, but the presentation was nice. Like it came out like on a nice like real plate.
Yeah, I was fully expecting like a paper plate
Right.
and like Dixie cup for the for the dipping sauces. To be honest with you, but
it
no,
was actually presented very
yeah.
very formally and nice, and
Mhm. They did not skimp on their silverware or flatware or their plates and all that stuff.
right, which I know isn't like it probably seems like not a big deal, but I think when you go and it just gives it a nicer, upscale, cleaner feeling to
Right.
it.
Well, and when that stuff is not kosher, then you talk about. I mean, we're talking about now because it
Exceeded
our expectations. But like, if it had brought out a paper plate, I'm like, wow, this is kind of shitty. Like, really, like, okay. But I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I was kind of disappointed that you do have to pay $5 to play,
right?
Which is kind of a down. I mean, it's kind of a downfall because D20 you can go and you don't have to pay anything. You can just sit down and start playing board games, and that's kind of bad customer, like, you know what I mean. But like you can, but I could spend that $5 at D20 and be like, okay, I can buy a beer and a half with that.
Right.
So,
which of course. But, and this is something we were talking about too, is how are these places making a profit? Because obviously if you're spending $5 on a beer that may, cost them
40
cents, or, right, whatever the case is, it's eating into it obviously eats into their profit margin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There when we went to D20, there was a decent number of people there. And again, I don't know if that's because it is more of a bar type location.
Right.
The adults, get the feeling they can go there and be in a bar
get away
atmosphere.
from the kids and get away
right.
from family and all
Which
that stuff. And just
Cardboard Crown, when we went there, I really enjoyed the atmosphere myself, but there wasn't really anybody there.
Right.
No, I did see that they have like a speed dating event. And,
they've got they had
magic draft.
Yeah, they had every day. It looked like every day during the week they have some event planned, whether it's magic, I don't know, or card games, board games, speed dating, stuff like that. Which I found kind of interesting and awkward. I guess not really awkward, but just a little weird. But it seemed like they had something planned for every day. So I think if those weekly things go, fire off, and
yeah,
that's where they're making their money.
Right. But no, you're going to spend more than $5 going to a matinee.
Right. Oh, yeah.
More than $5 a person going to a matinee, and you can spend that $5 was it was just the fee to come play. It wasn't like per hour.
Oh yeah, you could
anything like that.
Right.
So I don't mind supporting.
Oh yes, local business. Get
yeah.
down. Get down. So you go over on the other table. Dumb cat. So yeah, I don't mind supporting them. It was just kind of a sticker shock. I was like, oh man, $5. Like,
right, and when there's the three of us, and when Sawyer gets older, that's four of us.
Yeah,
so
then
and then
$20.
you want to buy some food while you're there. And
right. So I mean, it's definitely going to be an expense. Get off the table, cat. It's definitely an expense, but they do have over 800 board games to play. I mean, a wide selection.
And as I said, organization was really nice.
Right, and it was nice too because you don't put the games back where you found them. They've got a special cube, the shelf thing for where you put the return games here, so they can put them probably check to make sure all the pieces are in order and put the game back where they want it. So, but like you said, I think paying the $5. I mean, isn't too bad if it doesn't turn me off too much to the establishment, just because of probably the effort that they went through with just like organizing and categorizing all those games and just being able to go in and the way that the way they have them laid out. It's easy for Eli to walk up. I want to play this game. Then we go and sit down and have fun. So.
Yeah.
So highly recommend it if you haven't been there. Friendly environment, definitely check them out. You can go in there and look at their games. Like we went in on Saturday, Eli and the kids.
Too.
Eli and I went in with to check them out and see what they had, and I was impressed right away. But yeah, like you said, that you can buy games and stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Our late nights.
Yeah, let's talk about late nights. So.
Or actually, Saturday would come first. If we were going chronologically, Saturday and Dominion would happen before any of this.
Oh, yeah. So we kind of already screwed up the chronological order.
Yeah,
so
really
let's
did.
talk about Dominion. Dominion's an older game. Why don't you talk about it first? Because I'm kind of want to look up.
Well, this is something that you've been playing with a buddy from work 2 weekends now, right?
Yep.
I think I worked the previous weekend and came home a little too late to get in on it the weekend before. So this weekend was my first time actually trying it. I'm not uber familiar. We played, 2 or 3 games, I want to say.
I think we played 2 games. One with Eli and one without.
Tutorial type game, and then the one that was, I don't want to say more difficult, but just different.
Right.
And it's a deck building game. I was about to say card building. You don't build cards. Deck building.
First, you cut the tree, to make the wood to make the paper.
Then draw some pretty pictures.
And draw some pretty pictures. Develop the game and play the game.
Right. So, as far as I can tell, there's not like a story to this game. There may be, like, again, if I'm looking at the directions, there may be some kind, because there's different card types. You've got money, basically, that you can use to purchase
treasure.
Yeah. Silver, copper, and gold. Which then you can use to purchase different, like, almost like building types or towns. So like you've got cellars and markets and provinces. So those are points. So you've got the money that you use to purchase either more money or these ability type cards.
Yeah, like action cards that let you do different things on your turn.
And then, or to purchase cards that essentially give you points.
Right.
You go and you say something.
You say something. So it's a deck building game. So like you basically, and the game's from 2009, so it's fairly old at this point. It's got probably about 8 or 9 different expansions and things like that. But basically, the way it works is you spread out 10 different decks of the same exact card, and you basically purchase these cards to build your deck. Each time you purchase a card, it goes to your discard pile, and then, after you run out of cards in your deck, you shuffle everything you've purchased and then keep drawing and keep playing cards. And basically, the object of the game is to either dwindle down 3 of those 10 decks, or there's a province deck there's 3 decks that have the point cards on it, like you mentioned. There's a 1-pointer, a 3-pointer, and a 6-pointer, and the 6-pointer one is called the provinces. And if that deck gets depleted, then the game's completely over.
Right. Which isn't really the goal. I mean, that's how you end the game.
That's how you end the game.
The goal is to have the most points.
Right. The goal is to have the most points, and the provinces were 6, and then 3, and then 1. And
you may be saying, so why do you buy all these other cards if you can just
buy the provinces?
The points? Well, because if you have, basically, your deck becomes, if you start with 10 cards, I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but if you start with 10 cards, which is money, and then you buy all your point cards, then you only have very few money, and basically you buy the other cards to chain together a lot of events that gives you a lot more money in the long run to purchase more things.
So depending on what type of player you are, and because it could be said that each player could build the exact same deck, and then luck would be the deciding factor. But depending on what type of player you might want to be the aggressive player, where they buy the cards that interact with the other players, like what was it? Not mercenaries.
The ones that attack.
Yeah, there's attack cards, like the ones.
Bandit.
Yeah, I think it was Bandit that had something about coins or whatever, flipping over cards. There was one that made every other player discard 2 cards, discard down to 3 cards or whatever.
Right.
So there is some interaction with other players. Granted, now we've only played the base. The tutorial level a couple times, and then the next level. So there's tons of interactions and things like that. But it's super customizable. Like you can build your own 10 card decks or whatever. Whatever cards you want to play with, or
in the shop.
Yeah. And for the shop, or you can just randomize it. They give you suggestions and things like that. It's a well built game. Like there's a lot of thought that's gone into it, and especially to have so many expansions. There's just infinite number of combinations.
Eli can play. It's something that you can kind of play open handed. We can play with Eli, and he enjoys He'll sit through a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he enjoys that. So.
Yep, and it's like in the reading is simplistic enough that he can read it and comprehend what to do. There's artwork on it, so he can recognize what the artwork is. He reads the top of the card, which I find interesting. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to buy a seller, and I'm going to buy a market." So he knows what the cards say. Sometimes we have to work with him about like what kind of strategy you want to go through.
Right. This is the best one to play first.
Right. Exactly. Like it makes it fun for us and for him because you can say like, oh, which card do you want to play, and he picks a card. Like, okay, why did you choose that one? Oh, well, I discard that one, and when I discard it, it lets me draw 2 cards or whatever.
Right.
So the game's a lot of fun. It's really all about how many cards more cards you can draw than your opening hand. And how many? Because you only get basically one action, or you get one draw, one action, and one buy, right? Action to buy. That's all you do. You draw 5. You can buy something, and you can play an action.
Right, and then you discard everything else,
Right.
and then you draw another set of 5.
Right. So basically, the action that you take, it might let you draw another card. It might let you take a couple more actions,
buy more items.
Right. It might say like, hey, you can buy something that's 4 or less, and then you can use your coins to buy the rest or whatever.
I think I, in one hand, was able to chain together like, I don't know, 5 buys,
Right.
6 actions. I mean, once you start getting deeper into it, your first few hands are kind of slow and just
Right.
generic, but the more you get into it and more cards you've purchased, then like the more fleshed out your turns
Right.
become.
And the thing is, like, you can go like full bore and just buy action cards, or like Eli did. Eli actually won the first game that we played, and he just was buying. If he could buy gold, he was buying gold. If he had 8 coins, he was buying a province. If he had 3 coins, he was buying, or 4 coins or whatever. He was basically, he wasn't even buying draw cards. He was just buying
Like
the pieces to win.
Yeah.
So it was kind of fun, but not kind of fun. It was a lot of fun. Who am I kidding? This weekend we're gonna actually play. Chase is gonna bring the expansion, so we're gonna play some. I think the guild expansion. I brought my pen home from work. So that's Dominion. A lot of fun. I'm looking forward to either picking up a copy or borrowing a copy so that we can review it. But I want to get a bunch more games under my belt before we do that. So look for that coming up in a future Friday.
Okay, our late nights.
Late nights.
So for not this past Christmas, but the Christmas before that, I believe. Was that when it was, or was it even before that?
It wasn't this past Christmas. I think it was the Christmas before this. 2 Christmases ago.
I received this game, Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. I always want to say Battle for Hogwarts, but I think it's Hogwarts Battle. It is a really neat, again, another deck building game. The packaging on it is excellent. Now, we did a review of this, and I think we talked about it.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much we talked about it at length already.
Yeah. And so the game has within it boxes, book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to book 7, because that's how many books there were. And the game progressively gets more difficult. And I don't want to say necessarily more difficult, but more complex.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't, because books 1 through 4, you basically...
4 we had trouble with.
Yeah, basically all you're doing is, like, you have your core book. Book 1 is, like, your core game. So, like, it has all your deck cards, all your enemy cards, and things like that.
I remember playing it and thinking, okay, this is...
Right, this is really easy.
Fun.
Like, I'm doing this, and then that's dead. Okay, book 2.
Right.
So then book 2 unlocks a couple more. Then you like add a couple new villains to the deck.
Abilities.
Right, a couple new abilities for your characters to buy. Kind of like in Dominion, where you have 10 decks. In this game, you have 6 cards that in the shop that you can pick from, and when you buy one, you replace one. And then it has dark arts cards, which are kind of like what the events and stuff like that are happening. And then there's different locations too, based on what book you're in.
Right. So, basically the goal is there are the evil characters, and every book you add new evil characters.
2 or 3 new enemies,
and you're still fighting the ones from the book previously.
Right.
So right now on book 5 that we are currently stuck on,
I think there's 12.
There's quite a few.
I think there's 12 bad guys.
Right, and there's 3 locations that we have. You play the locations just for that book. Those don't accumulate.
Right.
And basically you have to defeat all of the bad guys before they control all of the locations.
Right.
So in order to control a location, there are 7 little hexagon spaces on the location card.
I think they're called Dementor tokens.
Yep. And the spaces are filled with the Dementor tokens based on actions or cards from the
Dark Arts deck.
Or if a character gets stunned.
Right. So you run out of hit points.
Right. And yeah, you don't die. You are just basically stunned. You lose a couple cards.
Lose any tokens that you've accumulated since then.
And then start your health back at 10.
Right.
That is all well and good, but the difficulty comes in where you get each villain has their own ability, and some of the villains' abilities stop you from drawing extra cards on your turn, or they automatically take a hit point every single turn. Or there's some where when a token gets added to the location, then an event happens, whether it's losing 2 life or healing the villains. So,
and on top of that, before you go too much further, some of these Dark Arts cards have play additional Dark Arts card on them.
A lot of them do.
Right. There's a lot of them that do that. And the frustrating part is, like, the first location tells you to flip over 1, and then you read the card, finish the card or whatever. So, like, if it says the active layer loses one heart, that's the end of that. But the problem becomes when you flip over a card like target player. It's not Magic. Active player loses 3 hearts. If this were to stun them, add a extra Dementor token. So you're adding 2 Dementor tokens, and then it says play an additional card. Right. So like you're just playing. There's sometimes when they're chaining together 3, 4, 5 cards.
Right, and then your character becomes stunned because you've taken so many hits from these 5 cards. You get stunned, you discard down to 3 cards.
And you lose half your cards.
Right. So if you start with your hand of 5 and you're down to 3,
right,
then
your next turn is
not able to really play a whole lot. You don't have enough influence tokens, which is what some of these cards give you. Some of these cards give you tokens to add hits to the characters, or basically coins to purchase new cards.
Right.
But when you become stunned and you lose those cards, then
it decreases your chances of getting those.
You can't purchase
resources.
Right. You can't attack, and you can't purchase anything.
Right.
And it just starts.
It seems like it's a really vicious cycle. Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. Like, if what we've kind of figured out through like online stuff and all that is, if you can keep the first location alive, because that's when you only reveal 1 card. If you can keep that location alive, you're doing pretty good. If you can get through about half or 3/4 of the villain deck, you're in a good spot.
And we were there last night on game 9.
Our 9th time playing the game this week. Like, we played for 3 nights and we played 3 games each night. And the last night we've got to, I think there was 3 villains left.
Before that first location fell?
Before the first location fell, and then it was just like, I don't even think we took a couple, we probably made it take 2 turns, and it was just, the game was over. We even went back, like after the game was over, we even went backwards and, not really fixed, but attempted to alter the ending because of a choice that I made, rather than healing I think we dealt damage to everybody. No, we healed people first.
You healed yourself versus
dealing damage to one of the characters to kill them, which would heal everybody when that character dies. That's the other thing that is beneficial to attacking certain villains over each other, is they do certain things. So like one villain will remove
when you kill them.
Yeah, when you kill them, they'll remove a Dementor token. or when you kill them, they'll add 2 hearts to everybody, or you can pick up a card from your graveyard.
And this is all bearing in mind that we are there's it's an up to 4 player game.
Right.
So there's
Right.
there's Harry, Hermione, Neville, and Ron, and we were both playing as 2 characters that we had.
Probably, I think the first night we played the first 3 games with just 2 characters.
And
from
the last
there,
couple nights we've been playing 2 characters.
yeah, I think the last 6 games we both were playing 2 characters, and even then, even casting multiple spells but each player character has their own special abilities as well. Like Ron, if he chains together 3 attacks in one turn, he can heal any one player for 2 hearts.
Right, and I think this may be where the fault is, I guess, because I did do some research, and it seems like everybody is having trouble with Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have just said skip it. Some people gave some ideas as far as what they did, but it does seem to be a common occurrence. Now in game, I want to say 3.
Game 3.
When you start with the game, you've got your character cards, and it just shows a picture of those 4 characters, the 4 playable characters I told you about. They were new to school, young kids. They didn't really know any magic yet. So they didn't have any abilities like you just mentioned.
Right.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Game 3 rolls around, and besides the new cards that it gives you to add to the purchasing deck and the villain deck, they give you updated character cards. So now the characters on there are older.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pictures of them from that movie. From the 3rd movie, and they have, like you said, those abilities. And I think Game 6, you may get new character cards with higher level abilities.
Right.
So maybe those needed to come out in Game 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen what they are yet. We've not looked at Game 6.
Yeah,
but
I'm
maybe that's what they needed to do to help along. Maybe the characters should have gained more abilities.
Yeah, we talked about this last night or the night before, where it just seems like if you remove one aspect of the game, the book 5 would be not infinitely better, but it would at least be playable. Right? I don't feel like, the first 3 games we were only playing with 2 characters, so I feel like that probably was our fault. That clearly.
Right.
The game does say 2 to 4 players.
It does. And the other hard part about book 5 is they upped the ante. So instead of playing against 2 villains at a time, you're playing against 3 villains at a time. So you've got 3 villains' abilities triggering every turn.
Right.
And a lot of them work together really well.
Right.
or really well against you.
Right. So let's see here. What's an example? So the 2 Malfoys, so Draco and Lucius. Mm-hmm. So Draco, when you add a despair token, each player loses 2 life, right? And then Draco Senior, when you add a despair token, you heal each villain card.
Right, and then if you were to get the one, I can't think of his name. It's the guy that kind of turned himself into the mouse. Anyway. If you had him in there, on your turn you flip over the top card of your deck, and if it's one or more, costs more than 1, so if it's something that you've purchased from the store, then you add a token, a Dementor token. So if this is late game and you have the 3 of them out, you've purchased, you start with your 10 cards and you've purchased 10 or 20 cards, the chances are every turn you may have a card that's cost 1 or more. So you're adding a token, you're taking 2 health, and they're healing.
Right.
Not to mention, then you have the dark arts cards, which you may take another 5 or 6 health from that by the time you've chained together 5 or 6 cards.
Right, and some of the dark, the dark arts cards. One of
tokens.
Yeah, just says add a token.
Right. There was times where we'd be going from 10 health because we had just been stunned all the way down to 2 in a single turn, and you're like, well, what the heck?
Right. So it like we said, it is a vicious cycle. Once you kind of go down that path, it's it's every other turn you're getting, and there's there's 2. I guess Neville is kind of like the healer, right? So if he heals somebody on his turn, they get an additional heart the first time that they're healed. So like if the card says heal any one character for 2 hearts, they get 3 that first time. If he heals them again, then they just do what the card says. So he's a healer, and then Ron is kind of like a pseudo healer. Like I said, if he deals 3 damage to any, or deals 3 damage during his turn, any player may gain 2 life. So like he, in a weird sense, is kind of like a healer.
Right.
But if you're only playing every other turn,
and you're discarding, so if you start at 10 on your turn, you get down to 2 because of all these things that have happened. You only have 3 cards to play, so you really can't do any damage, and you can't buy anything.
Right.
And then maybe you get in a Dark Arts event that says discard a spell if you don't lose 2 life, so then you'd be stunned, so you discard a card. Now you're down to 2 cards in your hand.
Right.
You can't. Your turn's basically just null. Like you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Your turn comes back around, you're stunned again, and then you discard again, and it's the same thing. You just never get to play.
Yeah, and the thing, I mean, the perfect example was last night we were playing, and Ron, my character, actually got stunned twice before his turn came back to him. Yeah. So like he got stunned during his turn. Right, so I lose half.
He's not even the active character. The active character is typically the one taking the most damage.
Right, exactly. So it might sound like we're complaining a lot about this game. It's just Book 5 is very unbalanced. Like, it's extremely unbalanced. I feel like if they were going to add that 3rd villain card, I think you're exactly right. Since they add the 3rd villain card, I think we should have gotten the new character cards for the 4 players.
Which I'm half tempted to take out Book 6's new character cards and try them with Book 5 and see if it makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah, but kind of like, there's a couple different fixes. I mean, you could, like, if you remove from all the Dementor cards or the Dark Arts cards, the reveal an additional card. I think that would help, because you're already, if you're past location 1, you're revealing 2 anyway.
Right.
And like, so if you're in location 2 and one of those cards says reveal an additional one, like you're revealing 3, at least 3, and so on and so forth. So I think we're doing that.
We do like the game. We wouldn't be complaining this much about it.
Oh, I wouldn't have played it 9 times.
Right.
We've probably put 12 hours into that game in the past 3 days.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about it now. So, like, I love the game. It's well built, but this book is almost table flipping.
Yeah.
But I refuse to open up that Game 6 book. Like, I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that. We have to beat it.
Oh my god.
That's part of the fun of the game, though. That really is a lot of fun because, like, Book
4 took us 3 times.
Book 4 took us through a couple of tries, but you remember opening up Book 5? You got dice. Like, there's this.
Yeah, but I don't think there's going to be the new mechanic. That was Book 4. There were dice. Book 4.
Okay, but that was a lot of fun. Opening up, like, oh my god, they're adding dice to this game.
Yeah.
So, and there is another set of cards that come out. Well, no. Inside this game, there's another type of card because there's a little card divider. So we kind of cheated. I know there's another type of card. It's like a proficiency card or whatever. But I think one of the things that we haven't tried yet, and it's kind of came to fruition last night, is we haven't been buying. It was Game 5 that we got the dice.
Because Game 4's got the bigger box.
Oh. Okay. Well, maybe. Well, either way, Game 4 and Game 5 they added a lot of ally characters that allow you to roll these dice that do different things for everybody. So, like, if you roll a heart, everybody gains a heart. Or if you roll a lightning bolt, everybody gets an attack.
Which could be a big thing.
Which we haven't. Yeah, we really haven't prioritized those because some of the cards on the board are like guaranteed. You get 2 lightning bolt, or you get to draw a card, or you get 2 influence. So, like, those guarantees.
Maybe we're not working as a team well enough.
Right. So I'm wondering if we play it again. Probably not tonight, but tomorrow. I'm thinking we kind of go, full bore into those extra LI, like roll the dice type of things. Because, each of the dice have either, I think the green one has a bunch of lightning bolts on it. They're 6-sided dice. So each one of them has like a specific kind of resource that it's giving you. One's like a draw card, one's a heart card or dice, one's a lightning bolt dice, and the other one is a influence dice. So you can kind of pick and choose which one, what do you need at that given time based on the hero that you have. So I don't know. I really enjoy it in kind of a demented, kind of way. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is a board game that has not released yet. It's called Nemesis. I'm going to actually bring up. Let's see if this will work. Oh, I think it's going to work. So Nemesis, it's on Kickstarter, and we'll pull up the Kickstarter here in a minute. But I'm not familiar with any of these games. It's from a company that's is a huge. They're well known, a publisher that's well known, but with us being as newbies as we are, I haven't played any of these games.
For 1 to 5
but
players. You will
it reminds me a lot of Dead of Winter. Like you get to pick these characters, you get secret objective cards, you've got to kind of.
But it looks more like that mice game with having the characters that you actually move around a board.
Correct. Well, in Dead of Winter.
Oh, they do have characters too, don't they?
Yeah. So, and then the cool thing about this is I don't know. I believe the rooms are randomized. Not every ship is always the same. Whereas with the Mice Mystics, it was very much a narrative. Like you pick out this board, this board, this board, and here's the order that they go.
You're running from the kitchen into the hallway, into the
right, exactly. This, on the other hand, looks a little more randomized. The one thing that I like about it that Dead of Winter doesn't have is you can become infected and basically play as one of these infected creatures.
All of this and much more
so
makes every game of Nemesis.
It looks really sweet. The Kickstarter. Let me pull up the Kickstarter real quick here. Hopefully I didn't close it. No, I did not. Where did it go? There it is. So the Kickstarter, they've already hit their goal. Like they well exceeded. Their goal was $70,000, and I believe they hit it in like the first. I think they said 4 hours or whatever, but they're up to $2 million, just over $2 million. But the game's due out in September, I believe. Did it say September? Yeah, September 2018. So, but the character models look really sweet. It looks like they are that pewter type of stuff, or maybe they're
it could be
plastic or whatever, but they're paintable. So they come non-painted, so you can kind of paint your own or whatever, or pay someone to do it.
They kind of look like they're primed.
Yeah, they look like they're already primed, but it's got some really sweet character models. The one thing I like down here, if you go down past all the cardboard,
which may be what I'm thinking about the mice, because they looked like that too. They were that kind of like whitish colored.
Right, exactly. So I like the size matters. Our miniatures are 32 mm scale. And then it's got like your hero card or hero character, and then down here it says, in real life, the intruder queen would be over 4 meters, 13 feet tall. So like the actual character on the board is ginormous compared to your little old Space Marine dude. But some of the stretch goals are pretty sweet too. They've got like a 5th player expansion, full co-op mode, and then also you can play as one of the intruders, like start out as one of the intruders or whatever. So the whole game is just based around like completing your secret objective, but you've got your own agenda type of thing, but really running from these aliens that are hunting you down, and shifting the ship that you're on towards Earth before the round tracker ends, because when the round tracker ends, that's when you jump into hyperspace. Some of the action cards allow you to like close off rooms and things like that, and you can kind of set fire to different rooms. It looks really sweet. I'm kind of in love. So I don't know. I'm a sucker for these randomized like miniature role playing games.
I was not aware of that.
Dead of Winter really struck a chord with me. I don't know what it was, but it was just like, this is an awesome game. Or I guess a style of game. Do you not agree?
It's fun.
So So that's Nemesis. Looks a lot like Alien, but it's not related to Alien. I made that mistake. I was like, oh, it's set in the Alien universe. This is awesome. And no, it's not. Not so much. No face suckers, unfortunately. Do we have anything else that we played that we want to talk about? We played Les Mis.
Yeah.
Les Mis was a lot of fun. With 3 people, the game goes a lot quicker, and it's not nearly as high scoring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
So, all right. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
No.
Not tonight, at least.
Not tonight. Not so much.
I think yeah.
All right. So
I watched 2 1-year-olds and a 3-year-old all day today. My brain is a little done.
You've got a boudoir session coming up. When is that?
Hopefully,
February 18th.
Yeah.
So if you're in the Dayton area, probably not guys, right? Not a boudoir. No boudoir.
No boudoir.
Boudoir.
Yeah.
No bra. No bra. So you've got a boudoir session coming up. Check out our website, Amanda D Photography, or reach out to her on Facebook.
It's a really cool location.
Yeah. So it's not in your studio or at the house. It's
right. It's rented out something. One of the studios there at something old in Dayton, which is the old Davis Linden building in East Dayton. So it's got the industrial feel with the high vaulted ceilings, exposed brick and hardwood floors. But then they, bring in their vintage furniture and stuff. That's really it's neat.
Yeah. So it's you get for your money you get 20 hair and makeup from a professional artist from I can't remember where it was.
Sheer Hotness.
And then you're gonna get 20 digital images. The hair and makeup's free. They don't have to pay for that. That's all part of
included.
That's included in your price.
Yep.
You get a 1-hour session, right? So it makes a great gift for not friends. Well, I guess friends. Friends. If you got friends with benefits, like, hey, you can pass them out like whatever.
Trading cards.
Yeah, I'll trade you mine for yours. This is my wife. Let's see your wife, and then let's switch.
Goodness gracious. I'm not gonna.
No. I'm not
asking what you're using them for.
Right. Exactly.
I'm giving you the digital images.
Right. You're getting the
to use at your own
disposal.
Right.
to use your own
risk, but that's not a risk.
Use at your own accord.
Right.
Let's see here. As far as me, what do I've got going on? Well, Friday we'll be releasing the review of Forbidden Island. That's a fun game. So, looking forward to that. That's pretty much about it. So
I'm rolling away.
Yeah, you and Eli have that problem. Like you got Eli just woo! Like, okay, dude, get back in front of he already doesn't talk into the microphone. So anyway, all right, guys. Well, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/72DPI online. Get subscribed if you haven't yet. We really appreciate it. Helps the channel out. We're up to 22 subscribers, which I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when we've got our goals every month, did I say 10 or 20?
I think you said 20
I think I said 20 a month. So, hey, we are at 20 by the end of January, so that's fine by me. I know we didn't start at 0, but at the end of the day, by the end of February, I'd like to be at 40. So make sure you head over to our channel, get subscribed, leave us a comment, or even like the episode. We really appreciate it. And tell us what you think. What kind of board games would you like us to review? And all that good stuff. We'll be back next Wednesday. Whoa, hello. Whoa, what's going on?
Sorry.
She won't watch our shows anywhere else but on the show.
No, I do.
Oh. So we'll be back next Wednesday. We'll probably have some. I want to talk. I've got Battlefield 2, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 to talk about. That game is freaking sweet.
Have you been playing it?
I played about 4 hours of it, and the first hour sucked. And I don't know what it is, but it must just be my demeanor or how getting older is man, this sucks. But once you get into the game, the first hour, I had the same exact feeling about Assassin's Creed. I'm I don't want to play this anymore. And then I got into it, and I was like, this game's amazing. So I guess you can't judge a book by its
You need
cover.
to be a crotchety old man.
Get off my lawn, you and your skateboards. Anyway, all right. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
Bye.